So thank you very much to all participants who registered and who will share the experiences within the upcoming 2 days, and also distinguished guests and representatives of course, our consortium, INDIT consortium, in which we have 19 partners from 15 countries. But today and tomorrow we will meet also not only with the colleagues from the consortium, but also representatives of the European Commission and many entities, institutions dealing with PVE, CVE, and the radicalization, and also with the crime prevention. So as it was mentioned, today and tomorrow we are meeting within this International Policy and Practitioners Forum because we really want to bring closer practitioners, policymakers, and also academics and all people involved, engaged, and working in the PVE, CVE, and the radicalization field. But as I already mentioned, not only, we also meet people and exchange experience and knowledge with people dealing with crime prevention. So we want to be focused within the 2 days on the evidence-based practice and evidence-based evaluation. This is the subject. They are the subjects of our project, and we try to design, to prepare the practical tools supporting practitioners and policymakers with planning, designing, and conducting evidence-based evaluation. But not only, we are trying to show evaluation as an immanent part of the process of designing of evidence-based practice. So today and tomorrow we will discuss with you how in your domains, in your institutions, in your organization, you deal with this. And we also want to hear good practices from you, but also failures and everything which is related to evidence-based practice and evidence-based evaluation, to harvest from the knowledge and from the experience of all participants, of all our guests, or from whole our consortium, and also, you know, from the practices, and also from projects funded by European Commission, and any kind of policies and strategies, long-term programs, short-term actions, and also ad hoc interventions implemented in the field of PVE, CVE, and radicalization, and generally speaking, also crime prevention. So the last sentence from my side, that the outcome of our indeed International Policy and Practitioners Forum will feed the content of the tools, of the results prepared by INDIT consortium within the INDIT project. But as I mentioned, not only, we really want to, we have an ambition to build the ground, to improve the ground for evidence-based evaluation and evidence-based practice designing. So everything what we will share, you will share actually with us, we will really utilize within our project and beyond. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm giving the floor back to Kai. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marzena. Thank you for your warm welcome to all participants and speakers who are with us in the forum. We do want to say thank you to everyone who's joining us. We have more than 300 confirmed participants, more than 100 participating agencies and institutions, including law enforcement agencies, colleagues from the European Commission, the United Nations, national and international organizations, and think tanks, universities, and experts from across Europe and internationally. We're very glad to have everyone with us as we dive together through today and tomorrow into so many key topics related to evaluation in the field of preventing and countering violent extremism, de-radicalization, and crime prevention, learning from each other's experiences and looking together at how we can improve evidence-based policy and evidence-based practice. On that note, it is my pleasure to be able to give the microphone to Tarja Mannkinen of the European Commission, who has been a good friend and supporter and inspiration to many of us within the INDEED project from the very beginning. Tarja, it is a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you very much, Kai, and thank you for inviting me to this interesting conference, and good afternoon to all participants. I noticed that there are participants from all over the world, so it must be very interesting discussions that we will have today and tomorrow. First, on the behalf of the European Commission, I would like to welcome you to the International Policy and Practice Forum organized by EU-funded project INDEED. Since September 2021, a lot of practitioners and policymakers have been involved with the activities of the project, either in dedicated INDEED events or in other events where INDEED has been presented. Regarding the dissemination and implementation of the outcomes, it is important that the projects do not work in silos, but in interaction with relevant stakeholders. Indeed, project has been very successful in this regard. The Commission has prepared, in collaboration with the policymakers, practitioners and researchers from Member States, the priorities for the EU-level activities for the next 2 years, a document called Strategic Orientations. It will be endorsed before the end of this year, I hope already in our meeting next week, by the Steering Board on Radicalization, a high-level group of representatives from Member States. According to the draft priorities, there will be 7 thematic priorities and 2 mainstreaming priorities. The priorities will guide the EU-level PCV activities, such as discussions in the meetings, workshops, events, trainings, study visits, and tailor-made support services. Evaluation is a mainstreaming priority for the years 2024 and 2025. This shows that evaluation is widely regarded as an important for the PCVE efforts. It is also a great opportunity to spread knowledge, tools, and methods on evaluation as a part of different activities. Policymakers and practitioners are increasingly aware how important it is to evaluate interventions, practices, and policies, and they have stated the need to have tools and models on evaluation. Indeed project responds to this need by providing the Indeed toolkit to support evidence-based planning and implementation of evaluation. It is essential to spread information of the new tool and to ensure the proper dissemination of the material. The EU Knowledge Hub for the Prevention of Radicalization will start its operations on the second half of 2024. The Knowledge Hub will continue and develop further the good work done in the Radicalization Awareness Network, RAN. In the Commission, we have very good experiences on evaluations, most recently the evaluation of the RAN. It was done by the company called Ernst & Young. We find the outcomes of the evaluation very useful, and they were considered in the creation of the Knowledge Hub for the Prevention of Radicalization. The Knowledge Hub will act as an aggregation of relevant research and innovation, for example, by disseminating information on the outcomes of the EU-funded project. As a part of this task, it could support the dissemination of the outcomes of the INDEED project. The number of evaluations on interventions and programs implemented on national, regional, and local level has grown in the past year, but we need to do more evaluations in the future. The polarization in our societies is increasing. The PCV landscape is changing, the boundaries between ideologies are blurred, and new manifestations of extremism are developing, such as Assad, anti-government, anti-system extremism. They challenge citizens' trust on governments, authorities, institutions, and democracy. We must respond to this challenge by strengthening the evidence-based approach for our practices and policies. Due to the recent developments in the Middle East, the polarization in our societies and conflicts, even hatred between communities have expanded. Hate speech, anti-Semitism, disinformation and misinformation spreading on the internet contributes to this development. We must ensure that we have the trust and support of citizens for the PCV activities. Strengthening evidence-based policies and evaluations is our main tool in this field. The evaluation culture will develop by increasing the number of evaluations. It would be good to have a step-by-step approach, starting by process evaluations and moving on to the evaluation of implementation. This will allow lessons to be learned and skills to be increased in order to carry out more challenging impact assessments. I wish you all an interesting seminar and lot of good luck in promoting evaluation culture and carrying out evaluations. Thank you.
Tarja, thank you so much for your sharing and for your contribution and for sharing also the developments that are taking place within the new initiatives of the European Commission and the broader European landscape on evaluation in PCVE. We're very glad as we start the Indeed 2023 International Policy and Practitioners Forum to also be able to welcome more than 40 contributing partner organizations who are helping to organize sessions and to prepare contributions to the forum. We have partners from a range of United Nations agencies, the European Commission, and as we said before, national and international organizations, universities, and think tanks. Anyone who wishes to get an overview of the partners contributing to the 2023 forum can visit the partners section where you can see some of those organizations and agencies which will be sharing with us through these 2 days. We also have an incredible breadth of practitioners, experts, scholars that are working in various aspects of evidence-based evaluation and evidence-based policymaking. You can gain an overview of all of the sessions which we'll have throughout these 2 days by visiting the schedule section, and we invite all participants to enter and to choose the sessions which are most relevant and of most interest for you. The ERMI platform is a rather new advancement in online summit experiences, creates the opportunity for us to connect and communicate one-on-one with different participants. You also have the option, if you hear speakers or see comments from participants that you would like to be able to follow up on or to meet with them further, you can extend an invitation for a meeting. And we will also invite you to a community of practice in the program later today after the first round of sessions is done, where we will facilitate a space for all participants to share and exchange from your experiences in practice and to look at your key lessons and key issues and challenges that you have in working to improve evidence-based policy and practice in the PVE and CVE fields. Also, as Marjana shared with us through these days, we'll be introduced to some of the innovative tools and developments that have been brought forward from the Indeed project, as well as those of other partners. Tomorrow on day 2, we'll be starting with a special session where we're looking at some of the key deliverables that have come from the Indeed project, being introduced to the new Indeed toolkit, e-guides, and much more by some of the authors and experts and practitioners that have contributed to those. Marjana and Tarja, before we move into the key panel event, which will provide us with a space to hear from colleagues from the Commission, the United Nations, and a key evaluator in the field, I wonder if I could ask you to share what would you like to see coming out of this forum through these 2 days? What contributions, what innovations and developments would you like for it to bring to us in the broader community of practice of policymakers, academics, practitioners, and all of those that are engaging in the PVE, CVE field, both here in Europe and internationally?
If I can start. So I think that one of the main problem is that especially policymakers, but also practitioners, they don't have always enough courage, or can I say confidence to carry out evaluations. And I fully understand it, because in many countries societies are quite polarized, and the politics is also quite polarized. So it is not easy to make evaluations now. But I think I would like to see that from this conference, we would, of course, we need tools and practices and that kind of support material that will help policymakers and practitioners to implement evaluation. But at the same time, there is this kind of idea that ideas that how we can move forward in the societies we are living now. How to tackle these problems that we might face on political level and also on local level of local politics, and still we can implement evaluations because we need evaluations. That was my point, and that was my expectation. That is my expectation from this conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tarja. Marzena, please.
Yeah, so thank you, Tarja. Actually, Tarja said, what I think as well, and I agree in 100%. And as a practitioner myself, because I'm dealing, with the topic, also with the evaluation, I also would like to, once more what Tarja said, to emphasize that even if the evaluation, it's not easy, what was said, and we know it, but I would like to, after our forum and also in the future, to start to think as a practitioner and and also the same for policymakers and academics, to think that we do evaluation for ourselves. We do evaluation to check if we achieve what we intended to achieve. I'm aware of this even a kind of fear sometimes, the assisting evaluation process, being afraid what if we will discover that we didn't achieve what we wanted. What about the money? What about the sponsors? What about the decision makers? But altogether, it means practitioners and the policymakers, decision makers, and the academics. We have to go toward the understanding of evaluation that there is no negative outcome from evaluation, because even if we didn't achieve everything what we intended, what we assumed to achieve, this is this evaluation, this result gives us still the space to improve our action. So this is what I would like to know, that we are really starting to understand and to be convinced that we are doing this evaluation for us. As the first, thinking about our activities. The second the second thing is that yes, we indeed we emphasize that we really want to bring closer, and we really want to start to work together. Practitioners, policymakers, academics, and whoever can give the input to whoever can support us with the planning and designing evaluation and also conducting this process, which is quite complicated. So I really would like to see that we understand that this is not a one-actor process evaluation, that we have to combine, we have to join our competences to be able to and to be more sure that we are going in the right direction with the planning, with the designing and implementing of evaluation. We need to be aware as practitioners that we have policymakers and academics and other colleagues with the proper competences supporting us in this extensive process. So this is my wish. Thank you.
Tarja, I so appreciated what you both said, and Marzena, you reminded me my first nearly 10 years as a practitioner working in peace building and dealing with violent extremism. I had almost a physical reaction to the idea of evaluations. I felt that that's what donors wanted, and we were busy trying to do the work, and then evaluation was something imposed from above. And it was only through a process which I began to become so deeply excited and passionate about evaluation as an instrument which can help us to really understand, is what we're doing working? Are we doing the right things? How can we go into how we do our work, our initiatives, our actions, our policies and strategies, and to see what is working, what isn't working, and why, and to really understand what are the factors that can impact on the work we're doing in this field and others. And as we heard from both of your introductions and your comments, Tarja, the field and the practice of evaluation in PVE, CVE, and de-radicalization has been developing significantly. If we look at where we were 10, 15, or 20 years ago compared to where we are now, we've taken a lot of steps. We've had incredible initiatives such as that through the work of RAN, which for years has been bringing together practitioners, experts in helping to facilitate the exchange of learning and lessons. And yet today, also as the Commission moves to the development of the Knowledge Hubs model, we're beginning to look at how do we learn from these first and early generations and steps and move forward? How do we really work to harvest learnings and lessons, expertise and experience also at local and national levels? And how do we improve sharing and understanding within and across sectors? I remember a presentation on evaluation years ago where an evaluation was held up together with a garbage can, and the evaluation was then dumped in the garbage can. And the point was that in reality, that is still where most evaluation ends up. Evaluations are often brought out as expert publications or even brought out in academic journals as reports, and sometimes only go to or are read by a very few people, sometimes not necessarily those that are actually involved in doing practice. Here through the Indeed Evaluation Forum, what we're going to be looking at through these days is both how do we understand what is evidence? We've come a long way from the early days in the 90s and the early 2000s when randomized controlled trials were held up as the gold standard and the only way to gather evidence. We've seen both so many flaws within RCTs, but also that there are a range of different methodologies and approaches. We'll hear from some of those and discuss them together through these days. But then also, once we get that evidence, how do we make that connection between lessons that are identified and bringing those to be lessons learned? And how do we improve informing policy and practice in our field, drawing upon evidence, experience, and expertise? We'll be discussing all of these through the 2 days of the forum. I should share with you that in just a moment, we're going to move to the key panel event, Why Evidence-Based Evaluation, Evidence-Based Policy, and Evidence-Based Practice Matter in PVE, CVE, de-radicalization, and crime prevention. And we will be very excited to introduce to you our three key panel experts who will be speaking with us there. I'd also like to take a moment to really share with everyone that one of the reasons we're using the AirMeet Summit platform is we'd like to invite you to make the most of the potential and the instruments it offers. You can share your reactions, you can share comments, contribute to the discussions through the chat rooms that are available in every single session. And please do raise and bring forward your questions and your experiences. As a forum, we want this to be a space where we not only hear from expert practitioners and presenters, but we also have that opportunity to be discussing together. Again, please do look at the agenda and all of the sessions that are available through today and tomorrow. Choose those of most interest to you. Now we will go into the next session, the key panel event. To join that, you will have to go to Schedule and click on the session you wish to join. I'm also going to just highlight for you for a moment that after the key panel event, we will have 5 different very interesting and exciting sessions. One on evidence-based evaluation, a key step forward for PCVE policy and practice, where we'll hear from the lead researcher from the Indeed project, as well as 3 other colleagues in the field, really looking practically at evidence-based evaluation, some of the challenges in it, and why it's important to the field. We have a fantastic session on City Spotlight, showcasing and assessing local PCV initiatives that is brought to us by our partner organization, both in Indeed and the Forum, the European Forum on Urban Security, where we'll hear from experts from 5 different cities across Europe speaking about their approaches to evaluation and how to inform practice and policy at local city levels. Session 3 is on evaluation of PCVE strategies and policies, and we'll look at examples of evaluating national strategies and national policies, why evaluating strategies and policies is important, issues and challenges that are faced in doing that, and how can we work to ensure that we learn lessons from what works and doesn't work in our strategies and policies, and to ensure that they are informed by expertise and practice from the field as well. In session 4, we're going to hear about an evaluation of the Mayor of London Shared Endeavour Fund. This is a milestone and an innovative development in the evaluation field, at least in PVE-CVE practice, because it includes a multi-sectoral, multi-agency evaluation of PVE and de-radicalization projects from many different projects being carried out in London in an area-based approach, looking at what they're doing within the city. We're going to hear from 2 of the lead experts involved in that evaluation. Then we are very fortunate to have with us colleagues from the United Nations, from several different agencies and partners of the UN, Hedaya and others, who will present the compendium of good practices in measuring results in counterterrorism and preventing and countering violent extremism. 5 incredibly interesting sessions which will move forward through the day. Please choose the ones that are of most interest to you, and you can do that by going at the right time to the schedule and entering the session you wish to. But before we get there, we move now to the key panel event on why evidence-based evaluation, evidence-based policy, and evidence-based practice matter. I would like to say thank you, Marzena and Tarja, for opening the Indeed 2023 Policy and Practitioners Forum. And thank you to all for joining us. We look forward to seeing you in just a moment in the key panel event.